Sinkholes are absolutely terrifying. Sinkholes are depressions on the Earth by both natural and human causes. They can form slowly, over time, and gradually appear, but can also open up suddenly, without warning, dragging down what was there seconds before, deep underground. These collapses can be the thing of nightmares. So in today's video, we're looking at one such case, the Blackhawk Sinkhole. Let's be honest, 2020 was a rough year. Life was really hard for a lot of people. Now imagine if you had just purchased a new home, maybe even your first home, and it begins to sink underground. That's exactly what happened to at least 12 families in a neighborhood called Hideaway Hills in Blackhawk, South Dakota. Not only that, something was found down there in that sinkhole that has me still messed up to this day. But I'll get to that later. The Blackhawk Sinkhole first opened up in the yard of one of its residents. A man by the name of Albert Reitz was mowing his lawn after work one afternoon, and he felt what he considered to be suction behind him, but moving under his feet. He quickly turned around and found an opening in the earth, just a foot away from him. Just think about that. The earth randomly opening up and swallowing whatever was on top of it, which included you a few seconds ago. Albert is lucky to be alive.
I try to stay away from here. It's emotional coming around here.
He said, "I didn't even hear it go down. It just went down. I was scared as hell." Later that evening, around 5:30 p.m., the sinkhole collapsed. It broke the water and sewer lines and started expanding, swallowing up earth, grass, and whatever it could find. Eventually, it spread to the size of 40 by 50 feet. John Trudeau, another person affected by all this, said that it was like going into a bottomless pit. He realized something was wrong when his sink faucet wasn't working, and he heard his neighbor Albert Reitz banging on his door. Trudeau's wife called 911 immediately, and first responders arrived to help evacuate 6 families that evening. During all this commotion, a second sinkhole was discovered across the street. Apparently, the ground beneath this neighborhood was once a 600-foot-long abandoned gypsum mine, which, if you didn't know, gypsum is a beautiful crystal mined and used in fertilizer and as the main constituent in many forms of plaster, drywall, blackboards, and sidewalk. Meaning the mining of all that gypsum all those years ago eventually led to this neighborhood sinking into the ground. The irony of the mined gypsum being used as an ingredient in the sidewalks of this neighborhood, fertilizer for the grass in these yards, and the plaster and drywall used to make these homes is not lost on me. It's almost as if the earth is taking back what was taken from it. It was a mine stripped clean and left abandoned for decades. Its walls and ceilings are covered in old drilling and mining equipment holes. As a result of these freshly emerging sinkholes, 6 more homes were evacuated from the neighborhood, and the number of displaced individuals was between 30 and 35 people.
We had to put signs up on the house because the insurance companies are starting to dump us around here. We lost our insurance on the house because they don't want no part of this.
Now, unfortunately, thanks to these dangerous sinkholes, the families of these homes can't go back, and the insurance companies that these people held on their homes refuse to cover any damages caused by the sinkholes, meaning the burden of this horrific incident is completely on the wallets of these people.
All we're doing right now is I'm working harder than I ever worked in my life. Because I gotta cover 2 payments. I gotta cover this house, and we gotta cover the house we're living in right now.
Some of these people went to stay with family, went to stay with relatives. Others were staying in hotels for all this time. And then there were others with no expendable income or extended family who are left to figure it out alone. It's a horrific situation. Since 2020, the debate over who is responsible has been an ongoing fight. Is it the developer of the community? Is it local or state government? Is it the owners of the mine? Who knew? Or did anyone know at all? It's a complex topic. Thankfully, the Red Cross offered 2 nights at a hotel for these people, which is It's nice. I mean, it's helpful, but something this life-changing, it's going to take a lot more than that to resolve. A class action lawsuit has been moving through the court system for these last few years, but who knows how that will go. Fingers crossed that those affected get the help they need. The Blackhawk Sinkhole revealed that the mine ranges from 25 feet to 30 feet below ground. Just imagine if someone had fallen into one of those holes, or if one of those holes had swallowed up a car or a home entirely. The absolute dread and horror of falling 25 to 30 feet down in pitch black darkness and getting lost somewhere within its 600 feet of tunnels? Nightmare fuel. The reason these sinkholes develop so quickly is because gypsum is water soluble, meaning the groundwater and the surface water has been eating away at the gypsum for decades, slowly eroding and degrading everything around it. It's a miracle that no person or pet was swallowed up by this ticking time bomb. Eventually, people started exploring the sinkhole and the former mine, and tons of strange things have been found. Old tools and materials left behind from the previous miners, trash, that's right, literal trash, wooden debris, massive stone columns, pools of freezing cold water that shine due to the gypsum, parts from a railroad and rail car, collapsed mine shafts, and what I consider to be the most horrifying and disturbing thing, a car. There was a car found under there. A Ford Crestline Sunliner. This car was only made between 1952 and 1954, which begs the question, how did a car from 1952 and 1954 get trapped underground? Why is it underground? How did it get there? Not only that, it's in fairly decent condition for a car that's been trapped underground for nearly 50 years. There's a bunch of theories online to how this car got underground. Some speculate that the car must have been swept in at some point because of flooding. But that's not the explanation that I'm buying, and here's why. In all of the photos of this car, it's pinned between rocks at an elevated position, angling upwards, and it's seemingly crushed. So based on that, and the amount of rusting that's happened on the car, if I had to speculate how it got there, I'd say that it was another sinkhole. That car was sucked into a sinkhole. Maybe it was just the car that disappeared into the ground one day, and the owner was left in confusion. What happened to my car? Where did it go? Was it stolen? I don't know. Maybe the person knew that it fell down there. Or maybe, and this is a lot scarier, that car and both the owner both got sucked into the ground. And whoever it was trapped down there in this dark, massive abandoned mine, left to wander around in the darkness until they couldn't anymore. And if this is indeed what happened, this mine hasn't been fully explored or mapped out yet. There are plenty of passages that have caved in and no way we would know. It's all up to speculation at this point, so let's just hope that it was simply a car loss and nothing more. I think it'd be really interesting to do a deep dive in that area of South Dakota. Dig around, see what you can find. Was there a missing car? Was somebody missing around that time? I think that'd be really, really neat to find out. I tried to look into it myself, but that's not necessarily my expertise. So if anyone out there is really good at that, dig into that, because that kind of stuff is so creepy and unsettling. I'd love to know more. After learning about all of this, I fell down an internet sinkhole and started learning as much as I could about sinkholes. For example, what other crazy things have been found at the bottom of a sinkhole? Get this, in 2015, a mastodon skeleton was found in a Florida sinkhole. Yes, a mastodon, this massive thing, a near 15,000-year-old skeleton. And what's crazy is they speculate that it was butchered by humans based on the cuts and markings on its bones. So more than likely, the bones of that mastodon were thrown down the sinkhole after eating. In China, there is a sinkhole that is 630 feet deep. So deep, in fact, that the sinkhole could easily hide the Washington Monument inside of it. Even more amazing is that the bottom of that sinkhole is actually an ancient forest spanning nearly 3 football fields in length, with trees reaching over 100 feet in height. Another shocking sinkhole discovery was found at the bottom of the Great Blue Hole, which is an underwater sinkhole 60 miles off the coast of Belize. Do you know what was found? Plastic soda bottles. Apparently sinkholes are super common, absolutely terrifying, and have taken quite a few lives and homes over the years. I hate to say it, but here's another new phobia to add to the collection. Until next time, never stop searching.